This is It's On Drudge. Every day, the Drudge Report serves a slice of insanity from our world. And for the next few minutes, we're going to eat it. Let's begin. American Airlines passenger takes emotional support horse onto flight. You've heard of Comfort Dog. You've probably also heard of Comfort Turkey. But you never thought you'd see a Comfort Horse. To be honest, reading the story really made me check my own preconceived notions of people's ridiculousness. For starters, it wasn't a full-sized horse, as one would likely not even fit on a plane, but a miniature one no bigger than a relatively large pup. The mini horse was also trained, and reportedly very well behaved on the short flight. The owner doesn't typically travel with her horse on a plane, but there are some cases where driving to her destination is not viable. We can all understand that. All in all, I'd call this a score for humanity, I guess. Joker $100 million opening, dark, sick, twisted, and Oscar contender. Early reactions are out after Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, and as a surprise to many people who were reliving flashbacks to watching Batman vs. Superman, it's quite good. While the slim possibility that this whole thing might be a Russian disinformation campaign to troll viewers into watching a movie intended to reflect on America's current political climate with too high expectations, I would rather whimsically whistle along all my way to the theater to watch what would potentially be another Academy Award win for a depiction of DC's Clown Prince of Crime. Oh yeah. Can state rewrite movie script? Minnesota, not content with having elected a ranting anti-Semite to Congress, is trying to impose free speech limits on yet another Christian venture, religious films. It's not enough that states try to force bakers and florists to create unique arrangements for gay weddings, and now they're dipping their toes into editing movie scripts. A small entertainment firm which works mostly with Christian clients producing content which aligns with their religion's beliefs is under attack by the state for discrimination. According to Minnesota, if an entrepreneurial troll with too much money to waste walked into their studio and demanded they produce his film about why Jesus was gay, they would have to go along with it under penalty of going to jail. A mediocre football team, crappy weather for 3/4 of the year, and imposed speech now sit cozily upon the reason why I will never visit Minnesota. Mag. The coming death of almost every rock legend. It had to happen eventually. Our favorite rock stars from the 70s and 80s were never going to be immortal. As difficult as it would be to accept, they'd eventually grow old and die. Well, we are slowly approaching that day of reckoning, or a couple of years more precisely, where seemingly immortal figures like Paul McCartney, Bob Dylan, Eric Clapton. Okay, I could go on for a while like this, but you get my point. The thing these people all have in common besides lives of relative debauchery and invading our ear space with their sweet rock nectar is that they're all pushing 70-something. Don't get me wrong, with today's advances in medical science, it's not hard to imagine a lot of these millionaires pushing 80 or perhaps 90. But when you think through the toll these people's bodies have been through with their lives, where 1 year of experience could be equivalent to an average person's lifetime, I'm honestly surprised they've made it this far. When those inevitable sad days come, when we have to say goodbye to some of these legends, I hope my Spotify account can handle the bandwidth surge that comes. In praise of Melania, First Lady treated terribly by press. Perhaps no other First Lady has had to endure the mainstream vitriol that Melania experiences at every turn. From her humble beginnings, presumably plagiarizing a speech from Michelle Obama. If you know how political campaigns work, the talkers barely write their own speeches, making Melania more a victim to someone's sick sense of humor than anything else. To her relatively quiet tenure as wife to a president who is the exact opposite of her in every way. A Boston, quote, academic, I use that quote because that term should not be thrown around so loosely as it is, wrote a book comparing the two in the context of modern first ladies. And despite the author's promise to write a bipartisan analysis into the lives of these two people with highly stressed positions, The book serves as little more than a hit piece of Trump by way of his wife, a popular tactic for the tolerant left who can't seem to crack Trump's threshold of Teflon. Forget weed. Colorado's hottest trend is forest bathing. I know what your initial thoughts were when you heard that. Forest bathing sounds like a bunch of naked hippies in some dirty creek in the middle of nowhere. Considering the age we live in, you're justified in thinking that. But forest bathing actually refers to the ancient Japanese practice of just walking around in the woods taking it all in, thus the, quote, bathing part. The presumably easy thing to do has become something millennials in Colorado are just dying to pay for, so much so that guided therapy sessions fill up many months in advance. I guess the pain part is just so you can suffer the inevitable regret of stepping away from the comfort of your home with other strangers so you won't feel so bad. The, quote, research-based practice of forest bathing reportedly comes with a ton of health benefits like lower blood pressure and a better mood. I would attribute that more to stepping away from the BS of the world for a little bit and breathing in some relatively fresh air. But I'm no therapeutical researcher, so yeah. Eyes Wide Shut. 20 years on, Kubrick film shrouded in mystery. Eyes Wide Shut serves as legendary director Stanley Kubrick's arguably most polarizing film. Met with so-so reviews upon its release 20 years ago, the film has been met with a sort of revisionist attitude common for movies that were just ahead of their time, man. Eyes Wide Shut is perhaps best known for its controversial orgy scene, which most people remember as much more explicit than it actually was. Upon further examination, it's just a series of foggy blurs Tom Cruise just looks at with his trademark look of confusion. Speaking of Tom Cruise, part of what makes this film so historic is it's one of the best directors of all time working with a megastar at the height of his powers. Despite all this, there was no question as to Kubrick's authority on set, with Cruise's commitment to the film leading to the delay of Mission Impossible 2 not once, but twice. Quite ironic, actually. Easy-to-use deepfake app can create convincing videos. Deepfakers, otherwise known as the technology that is poised to take society over the last remaining edge it has, is now available commercially to anyone with a smartphone. What was once something that only terrible people with specialized computer software could do, but thanks to China, anyone with a smartphone can release a video pretending to be anyone they want. And I can officially be concerned about humanity again. Listeners, I need your feedback to make the show tolerable. Did you learn something? Does it suck? These are the things I would never find out for myself because I lack self-awareness. Send us your thoughts to itsondrudge@gmail.com. Again, that's itsondrudge@gmail.com. That's it for today. We're on weekdays at 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock Central. I'll catch you later, and stay informed.